Hello guys, welcome to Mark Shrimp Tanks. Today I'm going to show you how I deal with the problem tank. I have an issue with the tank over here in the corner where the shrimp are a little bit lethargic. They're kind of hiding. I have buried shrimp after buried shrimp in this tank and I don't really have any young in the tank, right? So that is something that we're going to look at today. First things first guys, before you go in there and you start changing water and soil and all that kind of stuff, you need to get into the tank and you need to look in behind all the corners, under rocks, everywhere in the tank that you think a shrimp could go in and possibly die, right? In behind a filter, heater, anything like that, right? Because if you have a shrimp that's in the tank and it's died and you don't find it and the other shrimp don't eat it and the snails don't eat it, it will cause problems no end in the tank, right? Because dead shrimp are basically ammonia bombs. What I find works for me is simply having a very large pair of tweezers like this. These are 50 centimeters. Thank you, Peter, for giving me the tip about getting these. And this allows you to get into most corners in the tank without actually putting your hand in as well, right, if your tanks are reasonably small like mine's are. So get a set of tweezers like this, and then guys, gently get into your tank and just start moving stuff around. Let's have a little look under here. Is there a dead shrimp? No. Is there a dead shrimp? No. Just be gentle, try not to disturb the soil too much, and just look everywhere. Look behind rocks, plants, anything that you have in the tank. Get in there with your giant tweezers or net or whatever it is that you have, guys, and just have a look around. See, is there a dead shrimp here? No, right? So once you've done that stage and you know for sure there's no dead shrimp, guys, the next part is simply that you have overfed the tank, right? And you will have a lot of junk in the soil and it's causing your parameters to be way off, or you're having some kind of bacterial issue in the tank, right? So this is something that you can visibly see. If it's too much junk in the tank, you'll see it in the soil, you'll see it in the substrate. But if it's a bacterial issue, you might not see it at all, right? So we're going to deal with both of those issues today, right? I'm going to show you how I would deal with something that I can't see, like a bacterial issue, and we're going to check the soil as well. As I said, we're going to go through this methodically, and we're going to have a look at the tank. And the first thing I would do here is we're going to search the tank basically for any dead shrimp, right? So this means we're going to have to remove this big plant in the middle and just generally have a look around to see if we can spot anything. My apologies if you can hear my beard rustling against the microphone. It does that when I bend over, right? So let's grab these big set of tweezers that I showed you in the previous shot. I have a little jug here, guys, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take out a few scoops of water. We're going to add it to a bucket. The bucket is right under the camera. You guys might be able to hear it, right? So we're going to take things out of the tank and we're going to put them into this container. And the reason I'm putting some water in the bottom is because shrimp will often stick onto plants and stuff. And quite often there will be baby shrimp in the tanks that you can't see that will be on the plants that will come off, right? So things like this, right? This moss is growing nicely here. Can't see anything underneath. But let's just move it out of the way right now, just so it's one less thing in the tank for us to see. Okay, so let's put it into the bucket. Then we have this big Java fern. I can actually see shrimp crawling through this here, under here, you see them? So you just have to be gentle with this, guys. I'm going to use my hand this time instead of the tweezers just because of the size of this plant. I'm going to lift it up and look underneath. Is there anything obvious so far? Not that I can see. I'm going to give it a little shake, the plant, because there will be shrimp in this. So yeah, there is. You can see the shrimp falling off the sides. As you lift the plant up, the shrimp will bolt and hide. There's another one still on the plant. Come on guys, get off. We're just going to check as we go along here. Looking into the tank, is there anything obvious? Not that I can see. But there is one thing that might be an issue, and that is this shrimp here. You see it? This shrimp is very it's a different colour from the rest for some reason. It's redder in the white than it normally should be, right? So this might indicate a water issue for me to see. Let's grab all these little bits, put them into a container, and let's go right up the back, see if there's anything under this moss ball. Nothing yet, nothing that sticks out, nothing that is glaringly obvious. I'm looking into the tub as we're doing this as well. Nothing. Old soaching oxidator here. Let's grab that as well. I don't think there's anything here. There's a buried female on the back of it though. Let's see if we can lift it up and you'll see her drop down. You see her? She's actually on it. When you're lifting the oxidators out the water, guys, make sure you grab it from the base and turn it upside down and give it a little shake, right? This might come out in camera as well because there's always snails. You sometimes get baby shrimp inside here as well, right? So turn it upside down, give it a little shake. Nothing in it. Right, so I can already see at the very back of the tank and I can't really see anything wrong. I don't see any dead shrimp. So that is a good sign. It is a good sign. Let's grab all these little pieces of slate, terracotta. Let's have a little look, just look underneath. Nothing. But as I said, this shrimp here, I would say that there is concern here because that shrimp is a different colour. You guys might just be able to see her. Let's have a look behind here. What's up with this shrimp here? It's not dead, is it? Hello? No. You guys can't see it. Oh, it was just a shrimp sitting there. Alright, so I can't see anything obvious here at all. Apart from this very, very, very discoloured shrimp here, which, as I said before, is a sign that there could be issues. The other thing, guys, that I'm noticing right now at this very, very point in time, this very moment in time is I can see baby shrimp in this tank, right? So I did plan on vacuuming the gravel at the front here. If you don't have baby shrimp in the tank, you could do this just to vacuum gravel the front. But I do see baby shrimp. I can see them on the filter at the back here. So that is not something that we should do today, I don't think. Because no doubt there will be babies in the gravel at the front and we'll suck them up, which is probably certain death for baby shrimp. So what else can we do? What else can we do here? Well, one of the things I noticed at the back is, you guys might just be able to see it, is that filter is on full, but it's barely a trickle coming out of the filter, right? So these sponges are probably clogged. That's one thing we can check next. On top of that, I think we can do a water change in here a little bit bigger. I'm quite pleased to see that there's baby shrimp in here because then that tells me that there isn't as many issues as I thought. This girl is very, very red. I can't believe she's so red. She's actually buried as well. It could be why she is this colour, because she's stressed. Let's see. I'm going to check under this rock here. Just have a look. Give it a little shake as you bring it out as well. One of the things I can't see here is behind this filter. So I'm just going to gently lift this, just to have a little look behind, and then plop it back down again. Is there any dead shrimp? No. No dead shrimp. But as I said, I can actually see baby shrimp actually on this actual filter here, on here. So that is a very good sign. What can we do now? I think the tank is fine. No dead shrimp, but it could be like a bacterial issue. As we said, I did notice that these filters at the back are not working as much as powerful as they should be. And the filter is actually on full, right? So I would think that one of these is clogged, or both of them is clogged. We'll unclog one of them today. We'll do a larger water change as well. And I know, guys, that I always say to you guys not to do bigger water changes because it causes stress in the shrimp and then they have failed molts, etc. But there is a way, right? As long as you drip the water in mega slow, you won't have any issues, right? So let's put some plants back in here. We'll rearrange the tank a little bit, because the plan, as I said, was to do a gravel vac here, but I'm actually seeing babies in the tank, right? So maybe the issues aren't as bad as I thought. But it's good that you guys get to see this. So let's put this plant back in, put it right up the back, open the tank up with space a little bit. like so. We'll get our moss back in. Baby shrimp love moss. Get that back in here. Oh, one of the things that we probably will add today as well is, I noticed this tank doesn't have it, is a feeding dish at the front. That's probably, I think, I have a hunch that that is the issue. Somewhere down here, where I tend to feed the shrimp in this tank, there's probably a build-up of crap in the gravel, right, that's causing issues. Right, so that's what we'll do today. I can see a little bit of Poseidons here as well. It's quite cool to see. Poseidons, I don't even have Poseidons in this tank, but I can see that it's growing in here. Right, so let's move these ceramic rings just out the way a little bit. I'm going to put the feeding dish right in this corner. And then we'll get on with our water change and whatnot. And guys, fingers crossed that that is the only issue, right? Because a bigger water change will take care of a lot of the bacterial issues as well. Let's do our wee water change. We're going to siphon the water here. This tank is 50-60 litres circa, probably 50 litres once you detract the soil volume, etc. Right? So 10% of 50 is 5, and we're going to do a slightly bigger water change. So we're going to do 10 today. Right, so siphon in like so. I still do it the old-fashioned way. Let's grab these sponges off this filter. Again, my apologies if you hear my beard rustling against the mic like a right weirdo. I'm going to give the sponge a little shake. You can see just in the corner here. Always do this, guys. Give it a little shake, give it a little rub with your hand. Make sure you get all the shrimp off before you put it into the container, right? We have a limited amount of time to do this. And guys, when you're looking at your sponges, look for wear and tear, holes in the sponge. Just see if they're in good enough condition to go back in again as well, right? So in we go like this. I'm looking, I can't see anything at all coming off the sponges indicating baby shrimp or anything, right? So let's give it a squeeze and see how dirty they are. So it's not so bad. It's not so bad, but it's enough to impede the performance of the said filter, right? So I'll just give this a little squeeze like this, get most of the junk out, and we'll get straight back into the tank. Let's do the other one first. This one's not bad either, but you can see the slight discoloration in the water. So I don't think that was the issue. I'll check something else on that pump as well, just the little venturi that goes into the pump to see if it was blocked. Alright, so this is a little venturi thing that you get with the Pat mini filters that sucks in air through the top right in. To see if they're blocked, guys, all you have to do is blow through this tube here, right? So I can hear something is in there, right? So I'm going to unclog this little intake part here. To do this, I use just a little toothbrush, or you can use the wife's toothbrush because she'll never know. Let's have a blow into it again. Oh, that's much better. Right, so that's all it was. Probably a little bit algae stuck in the little pipe that draws in the air. Much better. Okay, shrimp fam, I thought I'd show you this bit as well. We're going to do my water. I have filled up this bucket with 11 litres of water instead of 10 because you're never going to empty all of the water in the bucket back into the tank because the suction normally always breaks before you get all of the little dregs out of the bucket, right? So here's my RO water. It's been sitting in my RO container for a day before we use it. This is what I suggest you do because it will help to heat up the water as well. Let me see, I'm going to show you this. Hold. Right, so this is an EC meter. You can see here in the top number, if the camera can focus on it, I can't really see on the screen if it can. It's 8, which is about 4 TDS, which is fine. Temperature is 23 degrees Celsius, which is good considering my room is between 23 and 24 degrees Celsius. Just checked behind me there, right? So our water is perfect. Water is perfect, right? So what I do next is I go and I get my salt and mineral GH+, and you look at the label, guys, and see what it says. It says about 3 grams per 20 litres of water, right? So this is only 10. what's 11 technically, right? So we need a little bit more. So all you do is half that number, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 will be enough for this container, right? Because I like to put my EC up to about 250 parts or conductivity, part per million, whatever it is. Right, so let's get our scales because we're actually going to measure this. Measure it, tear the little scoop or spoon, whatever you want to call it, tear. Right, so we need 1.5, 1.7 even, for 11 litres of water, for the amount that I need, right, so that's far too much. 1.7 is just to give you an idea how much this is. It's a very small amount, 1.7. And so that's 1.5, let's use the little spoon just to top this up. 1.6. 1.8, it's a little bit over, but it's probably close to what we need, right, so I'm not going to take that out. 1.79, which is 1.8, right, so put your stuff into your bucket, rinse your little spoon as well, and then dry it, guys. Dry it, just put it back over next to the sink and leave it to dry, or dry it with a towel, whatever. Cover your salts, because you don't want there to be any splashing, and give your mixture a little mix, right? And this is what I suggest you guys do. Give it a little mix like this, and then go away for 30 seconds to a minute, do something else. Clean off your scales all the time, clean your scales, especially when you're using salts and stuff, because as you can see, they start to rust a little bit. Turn them off, give it another little stir. This salt does dissolve almost instantly, right, but you will always get a little bit that doesn't dissolve. Always, right, so give it a good stir. Right, and then this is the time, guys, when you're thinking where you're going to put your container, right, because we're going to drip this water back into that tank, right, and we're going to do it very, very, very slowly, right, so you want your container to be up as high as possible, because then the siphon will be at its strongest. If you don't put it up as high as possible, guys, and you have it kind of level with the tank, the siphon can fail. It can also your tube can also build up with air bubbles and stuff and stop the siphon, right? So it's always better to have your bucket as high as possible. So today I'm going to put mine way, way above the tank, and then we're going to put a line in here and we're going to drip it back into the tank. Let's just check this before we go any further to see what it is. 264, so it's a teeny bit over, guys, right? So I'm going to bring that number down by just adding some reverse osmosis water. 260, it's actually going down as we're talking. Let me see. 260, it's only 10 parts per million over, right? So all we need is probably about half a litre of water for that amount. Let's see, half a litre. Let's do 1/4 of a litre and see what that does to the numbers. Again, give it a stir. And this part is generally faster. Give it a good stir, let it settle, and then take your reading again. So we were at 260, 259, so it's only went down a few parts, 258, right, so we're getting there, right, let's add some more. Probably needs at least another 1/4 of a litre, so let's give this a stir. And it's worth doing this, guys, right, because the difference in your shrimp will be there is like no dissimilarity between the water that's in the tank and the new stuff you're putting in, right? So if you have a set goal number with your tank, like I do, then it's always easier on the shrimp, right? This is why you can do this with buried shrimp in the tank, right? If you make your water as close to the parameters that it's meant to be as possible. So it is worth doing all these little bits to get it as close as possible, right? So give it a stir. And let's see, right? So our number is 250-ish. That's what I'm aiming for, 250. With an EC meter, that's very, very accurate, right? 248. 247, right? So we went a little bit under, but that's, guys, that's like, in TDS, that's like 1.5 parts per million off, which is fine. 2.46, so it's going down a little bit. If you wanted to, guys, you could stay here all day and work with the salts and get it absolutely perfect, but for this, it is fine. Tolerance here is 2.5 parts per million, which is perfectly fine. When I used to use a TDS meter, I used to have a little bit of a tolerance that was like within 5 parts per million, right? So within 2.5 on an EC meter is perfect. Right, so let's get this water above the tank and let's get the water drip back in. Okay, shrimp farm, next we're going to add our stability back into the tank. Give it a little shake before you go any further. But for our size of tank, we need probably between 2.5 and 3 mil of stability. The way I like to do it, guys, is just for ease is to use a little shot glass like this. Fill it up with your stability that you've just shaken. Right, and then use a syringe to add it to the tank. I always do it this way just because I normally do more than one tank at a time, right? So we need about between 2.5 and 3 mil of stability. Use your little syringe. So this is enough for that tank. This little cap on the bottle of stability, I think it's about 5 mil, right? So just to give you a rough idea how much you can add if you want to use the cap instead, right? But I just like doing it this way better, right? So let's get over to the tank and we'll put this in. And that will seed the tank with the spores and stuff from the stability that will help with the filtration. Will help to clean the tank a little bit better than it has been, right? So let's get this done. Alright guys, I'm not sure how much you can see of me or the tank, but let's get this stuff into the tank. Here is our Secum stability. Let's get it in. And let's fix our drip that goes into the tank here. You can see it's actually starting to drip itself, right, but it is absolutely full of bubbles, right? So you want to open it up full. Right, you want to open it up as full as possible, see all the bubbles in it. You want to get all the bubbles out the line, right, or it will just constantly stop and start, right? So once you're happy you've got all the bubbles out, give the line a little shake, like so. Slow it down. Slow it down. Right, and guys, seriously, we're only wanting 2 to 3 drips a second, right? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You see what I'm doing here? See how slow this is? This will literally take probably 12 hours to fill back up at this speed. Right, but my shrimp will live. All my baby shrimp will live. Right, none of them will molt because there's been a massive swing in parameters. We've matched the EC or the TDS, whatever you want to call it, with the tank. Right, so doing it this way, you're ensuring that your shrimp are going to survive, basically. Remember, guys, I was talking to you as well about this stuff here. This is a rich one from MacLeod. Missouri used to make a brand of this as well that I used a long time ago, and I thought the stuff was really, really good. Right, so we're going to add some of this to the tank as well, right? So this is fulvic acid that creates a nice balanced ecosystem for our shrimp, right? And I think the dose in this is 1 little scoop per 25 litres of water, right? So there's more than 25 litres of water in here, so we can put 2 scoops in. This stuff, for some reason, is really, really nice to smell as well. It's like I want to eat it. Reminds me of some kind of toffee or licorice or something like that, right? So, as I said, it's full of fulvic acids, amino acids, vitamins, microelements, polysaccharides, right? So, this creates a very, very healthy environment for your shrimp. I've actually started to use this again in all of my tanks. Right, so, the next thing with this would be for it to fill up, and then we would put on the filter. But because it's going to take such a long time, guys, I'm not going to make you guys wait and watch the screen for 12 hours. We'll put the feeding dish in right now, as I said. Make sure you give it a good wash with a soap that's not going to leave any scent or oils on the glass. Make sure it's really, really clean. And add this to your tank, and We'll come back tomorrow, right? I'll try and feed them and we'll see if there's any difference, right? Because right now they were a little bit hidey and lethargic. We'll see if there's any difference tomorrow, right? So fingers crossed. I know this will work, but fingers crossed all the same. Good morning, guys. It is the next day. Our water change bucket is empty. Our tank is fuller. Let's have a little look. I'm not expecting to see any massive changes. Apart from, I did actually feed these shrimp this morning. Literally 10 minutes ago. You can see they've come out to the front here for the food, right? So I'll let you guys know how this tank does, but that is how I treat a tank where I'm having issues where the shrimp are a little bit lethargic, not coming to the front. Just watch the feeding. If I had put the food in here and the shrimp were not coming to the food, I would have removed it again and tried to fix the issue more, right? But all the shrimp are coming to the front, so I'm happy that is we're going in the right direction, right? So let's have a look at another tank over here. I did the same thing with the tank over here a few days ago, and I mentioned this tank in my stream as well with the lucky babies, etc. When the shrimp are a little bit hidey, well, you can see they're all out again, right? So this is what you have to do. Do a slightly bigger water change, guys, and make sure your water parameters match roughly what the tank is. Set your target parameters and then drip the water in really slowly, right? 1-2 drips a second. No more than 3 drips a second, I would think, right? Even if it takes 5-10 hours, the slower you do it, the higher the chance that your shrimp will survive, okay? Alright guys, it is the end of the video. If you've enjoyed today's video, then please do subscribe and like, and let me know in the comment section below if there's anything that you would have done differently, right? We all do things differently in our videos and stuff, in our tanks and whatever. But that's where I learn as well. I learn a lot from my subscribers, so big thank you to all the people that help me with this stuff. And guys, have an awesome weekend, and I'll catch you in the next one, okay? Happy shrimp keeping.